In the wake of your power, something has arisen. Dark sentinels, hungry for a share. But these cruel constructs can be harnessed. Take them, bind them to your will. Test and tinker, combine and reconfigure. And together, you will find your fortune. Some sentinels are powerful. Others are dangerous. But in a world with shifting stars, monstrous new threats, and valuable treasures, you will need them. The Sentinels await your command.
Hey guys, my name is Ashamar. And today, I will be presenting you my top 5 League starters for 3.18 Sentinel League. I will also make detailed build and progression guides for these builds, as well as a detailed path of building. Links to these guides can be found in the description. Also, you can check out my other videos where I talk about easy farming strategies, which will be very beneficial to your league start. Last thing I want to say before I get straight into the video is that only a small percentage of you are subscribed to my channel. So please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button to get notified about my latest videos. Alright, enough talking. Before I kick off with the first build, I want to say that these are listed in no particular order. Each build has their own playstyle and you should choose based on the type of content that you would like to do in the new league. The builds will be ranked among 2 categories, bossing and mapping, since this is what people do most of the time. The first build on our list is going to be Explosive Arrow Ballistas Elementalist. This build has amazing clear DPS, it also has one of the best boss DPS thanks to a change made in 3.17 to Explosive Arrow. Besides that, it can be super tanky if you decide to change your ascendancy to either Champion or Hierophant, but if you are playing Softcore League, I strongly recommend you go Elementalist, because of the amount of extra damage. It also has very simple gameplay, you just drop down your totems and run. The only downside that this build has is that sometimes you will have to run back to pick up some items that drop, because the damage is not instant and is instead dealt over time. In the description of this video, you can find a complete leveling and gearing path of building as well as a video guide too. The second build on my list is for all you people that like to raise the dead and make them fight for you. I'm talking about Skeleton Mage's Necromancer. This build is an absolute powerhouse. Its clear is even better than Explosive Arrow Ballistas, thanks to Skeleton's Pierce abilities, which are granted through a support gem. And its single target damage is just as good. However, it heavily relies on 2 unique pieces, which means that these pieces may be very expensive early on in the league, and may heavily hinder your progression. If you are not starting in the first few days of the league, this may well be the best build for you because it is super easy to play, and it is very strong. The gameplay is simple. Just summon skeleton mages, and they will erase everything on screen with their piercing projectiles. It is also a really good build if you want to do simulacrums or blighted maps. Once again, complete leveling and gearing path of building will be in the description, as well as a link to a video guide. Number 3 is perhaps the most relevant option out of all 5 builds, because in 3.18 Path of Exile is introducing Uber Pinnacle bosses, which means that bossing characters will shine more than ever before, and what better bossing build than Seismic Trap Saboteur. This build has extreme amounts of DPS on a super low budget, it shreds bosses in mere seconds, and also, has decent clear thanks to Exsanguinate linked to trap support. However, to reach top levels of damage this build requires 2 unique daggers which may well be expensive during the start of the league. But unlike skeleton mages, this build can still function perfectly fine with just a pair of rare daggers, as there are no mandatory uniques present. There are however a bunch of useful cheap uniques, which I talk about in more details in my specific video guide on Seismic Trap Saboteur. Number 4 on our list is one of the fastest builds I have ever played in Path of Exile. In 3.17 it became even stronger and even better on a small budget and extremely easy to gear, all thanks to a new amulet added with the latest expansion. Yes, of course, the beauty you are saying on the screen right now is Lightning Strike Raider. Lightning Strike is one of the most beautiful looking skills in Path of Exile. And it becomes way stronger once you acquire Omniscience, which was surprisingly not nerfed in 3.18. Although this build functions and plays well without that unique amulet, the gameplay becomes way more trivial with its acquisition. One downside this build may have, is that it heavily relies on crafting your own gear. If you don't know how to craft specific pieces, you may struggle to find them at an affordable price. If you would like to learn crafting specific pieces for Lightning Strike, you can watch the full Lightning Strike Raider guide linked in the description. I am not going to talk about Lightning Strike Berserker in this video. Instead, I will touch on it in more details in the Lightning Strike video mentioned earlier. Let's move on to the last but not least contender on this list. Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder. Returning viewers may know that I have heavily recommended this build last league and it did not disappoint. The clear speed was amazing, and for what I was doing, this build suited me perfectly. I was running red maps in rare gear that I found during acts. Yes. You heard that right. During acts. I was running in a 4-link main skill because I wasn't bothered to change, and I was still clearing T14 without much problems. It was extremely tanky thanks to infinite sustain on flasks and had a lot of movement speed, and when I say a lot, I mean it. It was too much to handle. One downside, however, was that bossing was pretty hard, as the damage ramp up was pretty slow and took decent amount of time, and if the boss moves out of your toxic puddle then you would have to ramp up again. If you would like to focus on bossing this league, then I do not recommend picking Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder. For this league, I have re-released the build guide adjusting any changes that I have decided to make, based on my previous league experience. But that's not it. I also have an honorable mentions build. Volatile Dead was nerfed in 3.17, but it was still a popular choice in the Gauntlet, which leads me to believe that it is still very strong. I don't have any experience playing this build, so I cannot recommend it, nor can I make any comments about it. Just watch out for that. That's it for today's video. I hope that I have helped you choose your league starter, or at least narrowed down your options. This league is going to be very promising, and I am very excited to see the new bosses. Even though the patch is stale. I am very excited that I have another opportunity to play broken builds, which I didn't play last league. Thanks again for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. Also, tell me in the comments what you are planning to league start with. If there is a particular amount of same build requests that I didn't mention in this top 5, I will study the build and make a separate build guide for it. Stay sane, Exile.